But the fact that Ryan, has gone through 3 top trainers that would have done a great job, Eddie Reynoso, Joe Goosen, and Derrick James.
Correct.
And he's not training with neither of them. He's training with his dad.
Did Ryan Garcia ever allow those trainers to be the boss?
That's why he's back with his dad, because he's the boss. That's why.
Yeah.
Look, Joe Goosen, I know Joe Goosen. My brother used to train with him. He's not going to just let you get away with stuff like that. Derrick James shouldn't either. Eddie Reynoso doesn't need. He's made so much money with Canelo that if you want to come to me, it's going to be under my rules. And if that didn't work, then Ryan's back. So that's I give that big advantage to Barrios to even pull that off.
See, that's the thing about boxing, and Big Baby Miller pointed it out, because there's no structure. We need some kind of structure. In the NFL, the guy has to sit there for the media interview. He shows up on time. He's got to do it. And to give you an NFL analogy, think about the Broncos, right? When they had Russell Wilson over there and he had his own office and everything. And it was nothing, it was dysfunctional. Then they hired Sean Payton.
Cut it out.
As a coach, that's like going to train with Goosen or going to train with a world-class trainer, right? And you knew as soon as Sean Payton got there, ain't no one's going to have their own office. And you turn around a couple years later, and they're great. They're in the playoffs, right? That's the thing in boxing. When fighters want it comfortable, right? Sometimes when Miguel Cotto would want to train in certain places because it was more comfortable for him, I thought, I want to see the Miguel Cotto when it's uncomfortable, right? And Cotto's a great fighter, of course, and a serious person. But the fighter really has a little too much control when they reach a certain level sometimes of their own career, which is good in one way, but in another way can limit them athletically. Because boxing is not a comfort.
Max Kellerman analyzes the Ryan Garcia versus Mario Barrios matchup, making it clear that raw talent alone won't be enough. He stresses that Ryan's speed and natural ability must be backed by discipline, structure, and consistent training if he wants to overcome a focused and dangerous Barrios.
It's not a comfort business.
But do you think it's more of his opponent, where maybe I could get away with training with my dad, compared to if I'm fighting a top dude?
It'd be a big mistake to underestimate.
Right, and it's like everyone thought he was going to win that fight, and Rolly just outboxed him. Rolly outboxed him and looked good doing it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's crazy. I wish that Ryan, because he's so talented, I wish he would stick to a coach and really just follow the instructions.
Ryan will win this fight.
Both Max Kellerman and Robert Garcia acknowledge Ryan's explosive skill set, but they caution that instability in his training camp could slow his development, especially against a committed fighter like Barrios. As fight night approaches, both camps are exchanging warnings, adding fuel to an already intense buildup.
It says, left hand, make sure that's up, you gotta protect it, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what I would imagine he's saying. And gotta take that away. It's probably, other little things like that. They drill a lot of just keeping the hands up all day long. So it's like here, 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 here. But, this freestyle type of boxing, with technique is gonna overwhelm this man.
It was a great experience. He's definitely one of a kind. I took a lot from that fight, just being there with somebody with his timing, his skill, his speed. Yeah, just we're gonna use that, to in every way, to grow as a fighter.
Your opponent on the 21st, Garcia, hasn't actually won a fight officially since 2023. He's been through a lot of controversies, the scandal with Haney, and then the loss against Rolly Romero. What do you make of all that?
I don't make much of all the like noise around Garcia. I just know I have a live opponent in front of me. I have somebody who's trying to take my title, and I'm looking just to go out there and defend.
So you're looking to put on a big performance. Stylistically, what can you come with?
Stylistically, I think this is going to be very...
Mario Barrios promises to capitalize on every flaw he sees in Ryan Garcia's style. He's studying the tape, identifying weaknesses, and preparing to attack relentlessly. For Barrios, this isn't just another fight. It's about defending his belt with authority. Ryan Garcia, however, remains calm and confident. Despite changes in his corner, he insists nothing has shifted mentally. He says he feels locked in, focused, and fully prepared for the challenge that Mario Barrios presents.
Better for you that he's working with a trainer you're familiar with than.
Oh yeah, in my eyes, you know. But because I know I've already said some stuff that guy's already told him. But again, like he said, boxing is one-on-one. At the end of the day, he's a free thinker. I'm a free thinker.
Ryan said, Joe's not going to stop this fight. It's going to be a physical fight, a bloody fight. You're smiling when you're hearing that. Is that the kind of fight you want?
Not necessarily that it's the fight I want, but it's never a fight that I shy away from. I've gone out of my shield before. Like I said, you know, every time I step in there, you know, I give it, you know, whatever I have that day. And if that's the way like this fight goes, if it ends in a bloody battle, then, you know, it does, you know, and I've never shied away from that.
I respect that. I honestly do. I do see that in him. He definitely gives everything he got in that ring. And it's
Inside Ryan Garcia's training camp in Los Angeles, the energy speaks for itself. Intense conditioning, crisp combinations, disciplined drills, and serious preparation. Every punch thrown signals that he's gearing up for a high-stakes showdown.
Lock up top 3. Lock up top 3. Lock up top 3, 2.
Mario Barrios makes it clear he's locked in and fully focused. He refuses to let Ryan Garcia take his belt. For Barrios, this isn't just about a title. It's about pride, legacy, and protecting what he worked so hard to earn. He's stepping into this fight prepared to defend everything. Wade Plemons breaks down the southpaw stance and how it completely shifts ring dynamics. He says it forces fighters to rethink angles, timing, and positioning. He appreciates Ryan's analytical side, the version of him that studies opponents carefully before big fights. Ryan has reportedly been watching bouts featuring Keith Thurman and Abel Ramos to prepare for Barrios, since both gave him tough challenges. Wade questions how Ryan's freestyle, explosive style will adapt those lessons against Barrios, one of boxing's most dangerous finishers.
And I'm looking just to go out there and defend.
So you're looking to put on a big performance, stylistically, what you're going to come with?
Stylistically, you know, I think this is going to be a very exciting fight. You know, Garcia, he's explosive, he's dangerous, and but I think on a boxing level, there's no like competing with us. I think I'm the better fighter, and I'm looking, you know, to go out there and like show that on fight night.
You just said you're the better fighter. Who do you put more on the line with, your title or his credibility?
Reflecting on his fight with Devin Haney, Ryan admits he had his moment. He dropped Haney but didn't close the show. Conditioning, he says, held him back. He regrets not finishing him in the 11th round, admitting he lost focus and played around too much. This time, he promises full concentration. Wade fires back with intensity, warning that if they meet again, Ryan won't be so lucky. He even suggests a rematch could be the biggest fight in America. With just 9 days left, the tension is rising, and the stakes couldn't be higher.
Tough nights for Mario Barrios, but I'm interested to see what Ryan takes away from those fights. What can Ryan and his style, that kind of freestyle boxing he says he does, what can he implement from either of those guys to beat Barrios?
one of the best finishers in boxing. Like, I know you didn't finish Devin Haney, but you had him drown.
I saved him. I should have knocked him. I just didn't have the conditioning.
I think it still bothers you, huh?
Yes, because I should have knocked him out in that 11th, man. I was playing around too much. Yeah. And I was like, ha, ha, like, bro. But next time, oh, that next time, buddy.
There we go again.
You won't have a next time. I'm finishing you. You will never box again if we fight again, and you know that. And I have vowed to that. If we fight again, you will never box again. I promise you that.
Gee, this is what I'm saying, bro. We need this fight. I've said it so many times.
Barrios speaks respectfully about Ryan's speed, power, and confidence. He acknowledges Ryan's unpredictable recent run, a loss to Rolando Romero followed by a stunning win over Devin Haney. He also mentions the outside distractions and controversies surrounding Ryan, recognizing they may have had a mental impact. Still, despite the ups and downs, Barrios wishes him well. Inside the ring, however, respect won't stop him from doing his job.
And someone's against him, when people think he'll lose, when it's a different challenge to him, even though the Rolly fight was a huge challenge. It was a world title shot, right? But you think back through Ryan's career and the fights where he performs better. Oscar Duarte fight, he thought Oscar De La Hoya and all of Golden Boy was against him. Obviously, the Devin Haney fight, no one thought he'd win. The Luke Campbell fight, you know, Luke was an Olympian, so that was a big deal as well. The Gervonta Davis fight, he just lost. I mean, yes, the weight cut, whatever, but Ryan lost. But the mentality of Ryan, that's the thing that's so all over the place from time to time that you just don't know what Ryan you're going to get. I don't know what Ryan we're going to get in the Mario Barrios fight. He's saying all the right stuff. He's trained hard, right? He's acting like this is the one, but mentally isn't, right? Because he kind of said the right stuff. He was a little quieter last time with the Rolly fight, but he said the right stuff, and it's hard to know, dude. It is, because another thing you worry about, I keep looking at this picture of Ryan, and I'm seeing it.
When asked about Ryan's current form, Barrios admits it's hard to measure. But his mindset is simple: train for the absolute best version of Ryan Garcia. Media drama, controversies, and narratives, just background noise. None of it affects his preparation. If Ryan shows up at his peak, Barrios is ready to rise. If Ryan underperforms, that's on him. Barrios stays disciplined, focused on strategy, skill, and execution.
Get Ryan as an opponent. Obviously, I'll put respect on the speed, the power, the confidence, and all that, but it's been a weird stretch for him in the ring, to be fair. The lifeless loss to Rolly Romero, the spectacular victory over Devin Haney, but obviously the drug test, everything that went on around that mentally, and certainly at the end of the day, we wish Ryan well. How do you sort of gauge where he's at as a fighter entering this fight?
It's hard to say really, where exactly he's at, but I just had to prepare as if I have a focused Ryan in front of me, as they're saying. And yeah, just everything else kind of just is just background noise. Wait to look at Ryan's, at his best performances, when he has looked extraordinary.
Timothy Bradley analyzes Ryan's approach, emphasizing timing and precision. He explains how Ryan flicks the jab and waits for opponents to dip or change levels before striking. Bradley highlights a specific punch, the 45, a hybrid hook uppercut famously used by Oscar De La Hoya. Ryan has studied and incorporated this shot, and Bradley believes it could be a dangerous weapon Barrios must watch closely.
Of a kind, he's a character to be around. But no, the move to go be with Joe was gonna happen. Whether this fight with Ryan was made or not. I was definitely, just after the pocket fight, looking at what steps I wanted to make, moving forward, to just, continue to just grow as a fighter, to just continue to just, work on, I guess, yeah, just to work on myself and, get back to some of the things that has, that got me this far in the first place. Earlier in my career, I was definitely, a lot more aggressive. I had a much higher punch output, and so me and my team sat down and were like, why not change the scenery.
Bradley also points out Barrios' vulnerabilities. Body shots have troubled him in the past, affecting stamina. While Barrios carries a powerful right hand, he can be caught clean with sharp right hands and left hooks. As a counterpuncher, he prefers mid-range distance, stepping in with single jabs. But those jabs can leave openings. If Ryan's timing and speed are sharp, those small defensive gaps could become big problems. Bradley frames this fight as a battle of precision and positioning, where even minor mistakes could decide everything.
Because Barrios is a counterpuncher and he likes to stay, again, close to mid-range to outside, mid-range to outside. So he's like, a step or two, I would say a step, right in mid-range when he's firing shots. And so sometimes he'll throw those single jabs at mid-range, and he can be countered with the right hand. But we all know that Ryan Garcia, hopefully his right hand is back, operating. If his right hand is operating, he should have a field day, taking advantage of that, mid-range jab coming from Barrios. And he does it a lot, man. He really does. A lot of stuff that he does, he has good form and technique on it, Barrios. But it's just subtle mistakes that he makes, like just stand near the pocket after he gets done working, so guys can attack him after he gets.
Chris Algery highlights what makes Ryan special, his star power. Unlike George Kambosos Jr., who built his success on grit and hard-earned victories, especially against Teofimo Lopez, Ryan thrives on charisma, athletic gifts, and a flashy style that commands attention. Algery notes Ryan hasn't yet secured a defining world championship win. The question remains, can he achieve a career-defining moment like Kambosos? Still, Ryan's popularity ensures he remains one of boxing's biggest draws.
He swells. He swells quickly, man. He gets damaged really easily. You touch him, he starts to bruise up immediately, starts to swell up immediately. So I think Ryan having those heavy hands, I think that can be an issue in the fight as well. Those eyes will start swelling, that nose will start swelling up. I've seen, eyes and nose swell up on Barrios, man, and he looked like, real bad, the Elephant Man, after fight. So I think that's something that we got to take into consideration as well. I think, again, let's go back to the trainer. I think it's going to favor Barrios, the fact that he knows that his trainer knows Garcia. It is going to favor him. He's going to know, the approach, on how to get to Ryan Garcia. He's seen him in...
Robert Garcia stresses a powerful truth. Trainers can guide, but fighters must commit. No matter how skilled the coach, improvement depends on the fighter's willingness to listen and put in the work. He explains that successful stars like Ryan sometimes become the authority in their own camps, surrounded by people who hesitate to challenge them. That dynamic can limit growth. Garcia compares this to Todd Marinovich, a talented quarterback whose career was affected by outside pressures. The message is clear. Talent alone isn't enough. Discipline, environment, and personal accountability shape a fighter's destiny.
You mentioned it from the onset about being a star. Kambosos was never a star. Kambosos was never that popular, not the way that Ryan Garcia is. So Ryan's here because of that. And yes, he does have some physical gifts and a ton of physical talent, and physical gifts that make him, must-watch TV when he's on. But we haven't seen him on in a long time, and he hasn't gotten to that position. It's hard to compare him with George because George was the opposite. George was just a hard worker. George always came in shape, but in terms of talent, he was lacking. But he got that big win off of heart and grit, and man, did he cash out on that win, because he made so much money after those fights, got himself into so many opportunities that he never would have gotten if he had lost to Teofimo Lopez and became undisputed. Ryan is still yet to be world champion. These guys are almost like literally polar opposites of each other.
Mario Barrios makes it clear he's locked in and fully focused. He refuses to let Ryan Garcia take his belt. For Barrios, this isn't just about a title. It's about pride, legacy, and protecting what he worked so hard to earn. He's stepping into this fight prepared to defend everything.
Look, every trainer is going to do his best to try to correct that and try to get Ryan to do it, but at the end, it's going to be Ryan himself. It's his things going on in his world, his family, his friends, himself, with all those, personal problems. At the end, there's nothing a trainer could do if the fighter doesn't respond, if the fighter doesn't listen, if the fighter doesn't do it. And most of the times, when fighters are that big, like Ryan is, they're the bosses. They call the shots, and the trainer, everybody around them are just the yes men, and that's the problem. That's the problem, and we can't fix that with nobody. You could be the best trainer in the world, but if you got a boss, you know, as a fighter, then and you're a yes man, there's nothing you could do. Ain't nobody gonna fix.
Now it all comes down to one thing: fight night. Ryan Garcia brings speed, timing, and superstar confidence. Mario Barrios brings discipline, toughness, and championship hunger. Talent versus resilience. Flash versus focus. Timing vs pressure. The analysts have spoken. The camps are locked in. The tension is real. But when that bell rings, none of the talk will matter. Only execution, only heart, only who wants it more. Will Ryan's precision and explosive power take over, or will Barrios prove why champions are built under pressure? One ring, one night, one statement. And when the dust settles, boxing might never be the same. If you're ready for war inside the ropes, make sure you're locked in, because this is the kind of fight that creates legends. Fire Humanize 126 words.